It gives you just a glimpse of what it might be to trek up the island when you got off your ship.
Oh, wow. That's like a steep walk, isn't it?
See that? I mean, there's some kind of railing, walkway.
Oh, my God.
With guardrails from the sea. Somehow they get up the cliff, right? All the way to the top there. And then they start walking up. I can't imagine. At midnight, they're arriving on this island. No light going on. Pitch black. 1900, I don't know what they're using. Candles or oil lamps or something. Somehow
Probably.
they managed to get up. So these guys are scrambling up at night.
Yeah.
And one of the guys on the landing party is Joseph Moore, our fourth guy, the guy who's not part of the trio. Okay. But he is a lighthouse keeper on Flannan Isle. So he's the guy who knows the island. So they blow their horn. They shoot off a rocket. There's no response. The landing party goes on ashore. They get to the lighthouse. And we're going to have a look at what the lighthouse looked like in that, roughly that time frame, because it's an old sepia shot. Photo number 9. Whoop.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And at the base, you can see there's some buildings and some kind of track or something around it and some kind of metal structure. So a lot going on in a lighthouse rather than just the steep spiral of the actual lighthouse column to the top. There's like where they live and stuff. So that's what the place looked like. Of course, pitch black again. You're scrambling up in the dark with your little oil lamp. 3 guys or 4 guys trying to get to this lighthouse. I don't know how long that takes, but it's not a very big island. So they get to the lighthouse. They go up the steps inside the lighthouse. What do they find, Darcy?
I was just going to say, because when I go in the door, I feel like I've got blood, possibly someone hanging. Like it feels weird. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's why I asked, was there a psychotic break with Donald that he killed the other people and then jumped?
Welcome to Seeing Dead People, the slow burn storytelling podcast where our host, Nicola, challenges her psychic friend Darcy to communicate with the dead and unravel historical ghost stories, unsolved true crime mysteries, and all things paranormal. If you want to be spooked, amazed, and entertained, stick around for an astonishing, deep dive convo with the spirits on the other side.
Hello, Darcy. How you doing on this sunny afternoon?
First of all, it's sunny and it's not raining again. So, Nicola, I'm doing great.
So, have you any idea what we might be investigating today on Seeing Dead People, Darcy?
Can we go with murder and mayhem still? Disappearance.
Okay.
Disappearance. Someone's disappeared.
Okay, wait a second here. You started with murder and mayhem and you accepted that and then you changed your mind. What's going on there?
Because I said murder and mayhem and all of a sudden I heard someone in my head go, disappearance. Someone disappeared. So,
well, probably the fastest ever of stealing the storyline that I've ever experienced with you, I have to admit. So yes, we are dealing with a disappearance today, but we'll try to make our way through the storyline anyway and see what we can discover. Okay. So thanks for that.
You're welcome.
How about where we're going? What location are we going to be today?
I'm still going to go with Great Britain.
And why that?
Because inside my head, I just hear them go Great Britain. So maybe I'm wrong here. Actually, I was thinking more Ireland, but maybe Great Britain. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really tossed. Ireland, Great Britain. Here's Great Britain. There's Ireland. So it's somewhere in here. Don't you like that description? It's somewhere in there.
This, yeah. You are right. Absolutely. We're heading across the Atlantic to Great Britain. This time, though, we're not going to Ireland. We're going to Scotland.
Okay.
A little bit higher on the map.
Like the Upper Hebrides?
The Outer Hebrides. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what they're called. A bunch of islands all over the place off the west coast of Scotland.
Been to them.
And you've been to the Outer Hebrides.
Yep.
Cool. Which one? Do you know the name of one?
I went to, I'd have to look it up, but I went to one where they have an Italian chapel. Then I went up to the most outer one.
Oh, wow.
I can't think of the name of it, but I've gone to 3 of them.
And how do you get to them? You have to fly, or do you take a boat?
No, there's used to be a ferry that took you up, and they took you up and they made 3 stops and then turned around and came back. It was like a package cruise sort of idea.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool. Oh,
Yeah.
neat. And you've been in the vicinity of what we're going to talk about today. You'll recall that we've been to Scotland before on Seeing Dead People because we investigated Glasgow's Beast of Birkinshaw in our episode 34. And that was a real corker, that one, because we were investigating the horrific crimes committed by Manuel, a sociopath who annihilated 2 families. And in that episode, you were in great form because somehow, Art Darcy, you knew the manner in which Peter Manuel had killed the families and how Manuel himself died, which was by hanging. And you were really right on the button there. And I would highly encourage our audience to check out episode 34 of The Beast of Birkinshaw, because it was a good one. But I'll bring us back today. So we have been in Scotland, yes, but not on the main island. Like we said, we're in the Outer Hebrides, which is way out to the west. 10, 20, 30 miles of many little islands all over the place there. We're going to look at photo number 1, which will give us a location here. And we are in Scotland. So there's Scotland.
Yeah.
And the first group of islands are part of Scotland as well. But we are where the little circle is. And can you read what's in that little circle?
Flannan Islands.
Yeah. So it's a group of 7 islands. They're like a rocky outcrop. So they're not much land per se. The one that we're going to be focusing on is called Eileen Moor. It's the largest one. It's 21 miles west of the Isle of Lewis, which is the big island off Scotland.
I've gone all the way up to Storn. Yeah, and I've gone all the way up to Stornoway.
Oh, cool. That would have been neat. I would like to do that. Okay. So now we know where we're going to be, but we don't know why we're going to be there, although you have jumped the gun with the disappearance. So let's talk about, it's a bizarre case, and I'm going to show you 4 black and white headshot photographs. Okay.
Okay.
Of 4 men taken roughly around the late 1890s. All 4 men are attached to this case, but 3 of them have a very special link. I'd like you to meet all 4 and then tell us what you know about each man. I'm hoping at the very least you can tell us which guy is not part of this special trio. Okay. So let's look at photo number 2. I'll show it here. It's a man named Thomas Marshall.
Okay.
Bushy mustache. He's in some kind of uniform. Okay.
He looks either skipper, captain, railroad person.
Okay, that's Thomas Marshall. He's 28. He's considered a conscientious, serious, diligent, ambitious young man. 28.
Okay.
Now we're going to look at photo number 3. This is a fellow called James Ducat. Again, wearing a similar kind of uniform and very bushy mustache. Must have been the phase of the year, that sort of time frame for men.
Yeah. Definitely
this guy is
quite the mustache.
Yeah, isn't it? This guy is 43. He's a solid individual, very level-headed, dependable in character. Okay?
Yeah.
All righty. Moving on to photo number 4. This is a fellow called Donald MacArthur. Okay?
All right.
Donald he's 40. He's a tough guy. No nonsense, but he could be a little temperamental. Okay?
Yeah.
that's 3 of our gentlemen. The 4th guy is not wearing the same kind of outfit, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's not part of the trio. This is number 5. This is a guy called Joseph Moore. Again, mustache, but a little less crazy mustache.
Yeah.
Okay. He's considered to be a level-headed guy, hardworking. I think he's in his 30s. So you've seen our 4 gentlemen. Number 1. Any idea what they do?
It's funny, in my head, I heard mercantiles, but I thought they might be in shipping, freight, military. I don't think they're military. Maybe the West Indies freight type of people. It's the only way I can describe it.
Okay. Do you think which of the 4 is the odd man out, so to speak?
Donald MacArthur. I think Donald is the 4th man out.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to move. I'm not going to tell you which one is the differing one. We'll get to that, but we're going to now move into what our main mystery is. So I'm going to show you photo number 6. Whoops, I just flew through
All right.
5 photographs. Photo number 6, and you'll get the idea pretty quickly when you look at where our little location is. All right.
Okay. Photo 6.
There's a word added.
Oh, so Lighthouse. So that's like where I said at the beginning. Okay, so are they with the Coast Guard, or what would be equivalent to the Coast Guard there? No, military mercantile. It's military mercantile.
Lighthouse keepers. Yeah,
okay.
They're lighthouse keepers. So they must, I don't know what the sort of association that they would be involved in, but it must be something like a military type association, or because they wear uniforms. They have certain training. So I guess it's some kind of military, but that's what they are. They are lighthouse keepers.
Okay.
Okay.
So then this is weird. I swear we did this one already.
No.
That the light guard keeper went missing from the island, and there was no idea how he went missing, the possibility that he may have gone over the brink.
We haven't done that.
So is it Donald MacArthur who went over the brink?
Donald did go over the brink, yes.
Okay.
But there's more to the story.
Then that must take out Joseph Moore.
What do you mean by take him out?
Okay, because 3 people are connected: Thomas, James, and Donald. And that means Joseph Moore isn't part of the Lighthouse crew. Or if he is, he's not the person who went missing.
Okay, so that's really interesting, and you've covered a lot right there. So why do you think that those 3 men, Thomas, Donald, and is it James?
James, yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think those are 3 connected? What do you know about that?
They had the same kind of energy, but I thought Donald, when I said Donald's not part of it, I wasn't looking at the idea he was the one who went missing. I just didn't see him in this picture while I'm talking. So Donald's the one who went missing. Thomas and James were technically still alive. I didn't know if they went missing, but Donald stood out the most. And Joseph seems to be your added character.
Okay, you've got a lot of it right there. Thomas, James, and Donald are the 3 lighthouse keepers on the island at this time at our investigation. Joseph Moore is also a lighthouse keeper, and he was one of the main 3 lighthouse keepers for Flannan Isles. However, he was ill. So Donald is the temporary, occasional guy to fill in.
Okay.
So Donald's on the island, Joseph's off the island at the time. So you nailed that. Amazingly.
Okay. But do they know if Donald had what's that word? Psychotic episode? That's why he went missing?
Let's keep thinking about that. We'll just move on a bit, but that's an interesting point because we're going to have more to it. So we'll just talk about the lighthouse itself. Of course, if you look at any of these lighthouses, I'm going to show you picture number 7. This is like a rocky outcrop island, right?
Yeah.
In the middle, like 21 miles from any kind of civilization, and that civilization isn't the greatest either. And here we have
Yeah, that's isolation
yeah,
for you.
some house
Beautiful.
in the past. They created this lighthouse was built in 1899 or finished in 1899. Okay. Our story is in 1900 in December. Alrighty. So we have this very isolated spot where 3 individuals work full time for several months at a time, being lighthouse keepers. Okay. So this lighthouse is about 200 feet in the air. Okay. There are cliffs, as you can see, everywhere. All right.
Yeah.
It has a special, I didn't really know this, but every lighthouse has its own rhythm of light. So its own signature. This lighthouse blinks twice every 30 seconds. So I guess there's a register somewhere when you're a boater, and there's a 2 blink, and there's 30 seconds wait, and then there's a 2 blink. That's Flannan Island in the middle of the nighttime, or anywhere else when you can see the light. Another lighthouse, all the other lighthouses all have different beeps, kind of like Morse code. Pretty cool. So
Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's neat, eh? This is
Yeah.
a place where it's not very easy to live, as you can see. Pretty rugged, pretty tough. The cliffs don't care about you. The wind doesn't care about you. There ain't no trees. There's some birds, and that's about it. Okay, no shelter, a lighthouse. Now they need the 3 keepers to keep it full time. Now there's no radio communication at this time, 1900 December, no radio communication between this island and the rest of Scotland or any other communication with anybody else. So how do they know these guys are all right? The way they supposedly know they're all right is they've got a guy on land in Lewis, which is that big island that we saw off the side of Scotland.
Yeah.
And part of his job, they pay him to pay attention to the lighthouse. So he looks out and notices, hey, the thing's not making a light. So what happened to this lighthouse, this island? What went on December 26th? Cold, wet, not really wet. I don't think it was a bad night. 1900. What do you think on?
I'm thinking either the blink was at the wrong time or it wasn't blinking at all.
Okay.
It went off. Or it could have been doing the Morse code to get someone to notice them.
Okay, because the light was off.
Yeah. That would be my guess. That's the only reason I would raise alarm is if the light's totally off.
Right. Now, the lighthouse has a regular relief ship. Logically, you have to bring supplies and bring another person on every now and again. So that happens, I thought, maybe every 3 weeks or so. So their regular relief ship was called the Hesperus. Let's head over towards the Flannan Islands on the 26th of December, 1900, to do its relief business. And it notices there's no light in the lighthouse. Okay, bit scary. They come closer. They're trying to see if there's a light. Can't see any light. It seems that in the past, there has been, and these guys may not be aware of it, but supposedly Mackenzie, the guy on shore, has indicated to the authorities, whoever they are, that the light hasn't been seen for a few days. Another ship was passing Flannan Isle a few days ago, and they didn't see the light, and they reported no light. But nothing was done, oddly enough. So this relief ship is coming in after about 4 or 5 days, at least, of the light being out. Okay, so very unusual.
Yeah, just think of the danger that it would have put all the ships in not having it blinking.
Absolutely. So when they land, I'm going to show you a shot, number 8, of the island. It's not a great shot, but it gives you just a glimpse of what it might be to trek up the island when you got off your ship.
Oh, wow. That's like a steep walk, isn't it? You've got someone sending you a message.
Yes, sorry. See that? I mean, it's some kind of railing, walkway.
Oh, my God.
With guardrails from the sea. Somehow they get up the cliff, right, all the way to the top there, and then they start walking up. So
Can you
these guys
imagine?
are coming at yeah, I can't imagine. At midnight, they're arriving on this island. No light going on, pitch black. 1900, I don't know what they're using, candles or oil lamps or something. Somehow
Probably.
they managed to get up.
Interesting part about that picture. Can I ask, is that where they said he may have fallen?
They don't know, frankly. We'll get to more details, but there's two land sites, and I'm not sure which one this is. If this is what they call the East or the West Landing. I'm sorry, I do not know. It's a recent picture, so it's not of the time. I may not change much since 1900. I don't really know.
I doubt it.
But we're seeing what it would look like in the daylight. So these guys are scrambling up at night.
Yeah.
And one of the guys on the landing party is Joseph Moore, our fourth guy, the guy who's not part of the trio. Okay. But he is a lighthouse keeper on Flannan Isle. So he's the guy who knows the island. He's the guy who knows what should be happening. So they blow their horn, they shoot off a rocket, there's no response. The landing party goes on ashore. I believe they hit on East Landing. Whether that's my picture or not, I don't know. And I'm going to see Joseph Moore in photo number 5, and he's being replaced by MacArthur, photo number 4. Okay. So they get to the lighthouse, and we're going to have a look at what the lighthouse looked like in that roughly that time frame, because it's an old sepia shot. Photo number 9. Whoop.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's definitely
So
like
and at the base, you can see there's some buildings and some kind of track or something around it and some kind of metal structure. So a lot going on in a lighthouse rather than just the steep spiral of the actual lighthouse column to the top. There's like where they live and stuff. All kinds of stuff happening at the bottom there. So that's what the place looked like. Of course, pitch black again. You're scrambling up in the dark with your little oil lamp, 3 guys or 4 guys trying to get to this lighthouse. I don't know how long that takes, but it's not a very big island. You can cover the island fairly quickly. So they get to the lighthouse. They go up the steps inside the lighthouse. What do they find, Darcy?
My first impression is Thomas and James should still be alive, correct? When they get there? Because
no,
I was just going to say, because when I go in the door, I feel like I've got blood, possibly someone hanging. Like it feels weird. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's why I asked, was there a psychotic break with Donald that he killed the other people and then jumped? Because I don't see any vessels missing.
Okay. You're correct in the non-vessel missing. This is what Joseph Moore and the others found. The door to the lighthouse is locked from the inside. Okay. The clocks have all stopped, which means, of course, they're probably 24-hour clocks, and so they have to be wound every day. So at least a day has gone by without being wound. There's half-eaten food on the table. There's a chair lying on its side. 2 sets of oilskins, which are the jackets, the coats, the outfits that the men would wear when they go out in any kind of weather. Okay. 2 sets of oilskins are missing, but not the third. There's a third oilskin still in the lighthouse. Nobody would go out on a winter's night under normal circumstances without your oilskin. Okay. So that's a bit odd. There's a lot of odd things, but that's quite odd. The fire itself is cold. Now, I don't know how long it takes a fireplace to become cold, but probably at least 24 hours before there's nothing sense-wise. So there's times going by. The beds are empty, but they've been made. So that gives you an idea that this event, whatever it was, happened in the afternoon or later in the morning because they got up, made their beds, right?
Yeah.
So they went into the light room, which is where the light itself is up at the top, okay? And everything there is in order. The light is clean. The lamps are clean. Everything's ship-shape. There's no evidence of a crisis. No evidence here of personal madness or violence. Everything's in order, okay? There's no sign of struggle anywhere. Nobody's hanging. No blood. No bodies. So, 3 lighthouse keepers Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, Donald MacArthur have, as you said at the beginning, disappeared.
But they don't feel like they were alive.
How do you
Okay.
mean?
There's normally energy inside a house that would show us that they were alive somewhere, that they surfaced somewhere else. I'm not
Okay.
picking up the energy that they surfaced like they were found at home, found somewhere in a city because of a snap and they had no idea where they are. I don't feel that. I know for sure Donald should be dead.
Okay.
Okay. That's a definite.
Okay.
And I
What you're
don't
saying
mean
then,
because of the time frame. We're talking about then and there. And what it feels is they should all be dead.
okay.
That's what it feels.
They have disappeared, and presumably they're dead because they're not found on the island. Okay. So the idea is from about December 15th, so a little more than 10 days, they now indicate from research that the light might have been out. So 3 experienced adult male lighthouse keepers vanish into thin air. Joseph searches with his little party, searches the entire island. Okay, doesn't take that long, even though it's pitch dark. And we're going to look at photo number 10 to give you a sense of what the island might look like in the daylight. Again, there's this is from one of the landings up to the lighthouse. And again, I don't know which, if it's the east or west landing, but it'll give you a sense of how desolate
Yes.
the place is. You got to trek up from the water all the way up that curved path, all the way to our lighthouse. Imagine. Okay, so they look everywhere. There's not a lot to hide under on this island. There are no trees. There are no really big rocks. There are no caves. So they find at the east landing, everything seems to be in order, whatever that might be, the railing, the ropes, whatever equipment they might have on the landing. They get to the west landing and things are a bit different. There's an old box that's broken up. There are mooring ropes and the tackle, I would imagine, that they use to get themselves onto the land and hang on as they work their way up the stone. That's gone. Some ropes have appeared to be washed away. They're on the ground. The crane where they load stuff from their ships back and forth, it's okay. So what I think photo number 8, where we showed that look of that railing coming up all the way up, is a sense of what that place looked like. There's no indication that they're dead. There's no sign of them. All we know is they're not there. 2 of them were fully dressed when they went out, and it was determined later that the last oilskin was MacArthur's. So MacArthur went out somewhere without his oilskin.
Yeah.
Not
Which,
a long thing to do.
Yeah.
What do you think happened before we talk about the theories?
Okay, so MacArthur could have gone out due to maybe a loud noise or something, or I still think he had a psychotic break and ran out. Maybe their rations were poisoned a little, like that one where we did the vessel, and the possibility that they could have eaten tainted food. The other 2 obviously went looking for him because they took their slicker. The fact that on the west side there's damage to ropes and everything, it makes you think that maybe someone came on the island that shouldn't have been on the island and they were trying to defend it. Okay. So there is that possibility. But I feel like he's running and he jumped as though he was trying. I would say the man had a psychotic break and was trying to get away from something.
Okay, I mean, now that's interesting.
Because isn't there a possibility of pirates took them or did away with them, like someone who shouldn't have, say, if we were during the war, it could have been like a warship that came in and got rid of them because they would have sounded the alarm. I would have thought that the 2 men that had their rain slicker, they would have sounded an alarm if they couldn't have found him. And so that means they have to have been disposed of as well. There's no way all 3 of them killed themselves.
Okay, so you're saying that your theory is MacArthur had a psychotic break for whatever reason, and you came up with some good ones on maybe just the pressure being isolated, but possibly poisoning. He bursts out of the lighthouse crazy without his gear on. The other two put their gear on to go help him. Is that your theory?
Yeah. That's my theory.
What does MacArthur do to them?
I would think he could have easily pushed them off if they were on the landing, tried to fight them. So they went down with him.
Okay.
And the only other thing I can think of is, my guess is that's right. The other thing is that there was an intruder still going out to find MacArthur because he can't find him, and that they fell prey to the intruder. Those are the only two things that could have happened, but I'm going with the psychotic break.
Okay. What if it worked differently? The two men went out with their proper gear on to do maintenance, to check something, whatever. So they'd be properly geared up. They go out, they do their thing, and then MacArthur comes rushing out in a panic afterwards. That's why he's not wearing his clothing, his coat, because of something. So he's following them rather than them following him. What do you think?
Yeah, that's feasible. Yes.
Okay.
I know that's their theory.
Yeah, that is the common theory. But what's wrong with them going out there, doing their thing, and getting swept away by a massive wave?
That could have happened. But MacArthur wouldn't have gone out without his gear. No one would. You think of the weather.
Yeah.
And the gale force wind alone, let alone rain and sleet. I'm sticking to my psychotic break. That's what I keep hearing.
Well, it's interesting, because it's theoretically a storm would be the logical problem, right? Yep. They go out in a storm or they get caught in a storm. It was thought that no storm had been reported. Now, I don't know how locally specific storms can be in the Atlantic, but supposedly they put in their log that there's a storm. Other fishermen and boaters or whatever said there was no storm. So the theories are rational ones are they went out, the two went out to do some work, got caught up, and maybe called for help. I don't know how that happens. And MacArthur rushes out to help, i.e. not wearing his oilskin. That's a common thing. And then all three of them, for some reason, get swept away by this rogue 200-foot wave to take them out. And I'm sure huge waves are not impossible on the Atlantic. Yeah. And three of them could go down. One could have slipped. The next one helps. The next one helps. So that's a possible one. There's other thoughts that, as you said, perhaps a fight broke out with MacArthur at the center. So you're right on that. People think MacArthur is a problem fellow. But again, there's no sign of violence other than a chair turned over. You could just get up, stand up, and knock a chair over. Yeah. There's no blood. So no struggle sign. So that's a bit of a hard one to justify that he went psychotic and got into a violent fight in the lighthouse with his crew members. So then we get some really strange ideas. Of course, people have lots of fun with these things. So did something supernatural happen on this island? The Celtic mythology believes in an other world, and they believe that these men succumb to supernatural forces. There's a ghost called the Seven Hunters, the Phantom of the Seven Hunters, and they call these islands, this little group of islands where this Flannan Island is part of, they call them the Seven Hunters. So there's a Phantom of the Seven Hunters ghost that is about the island, says the Celts, probably in 1000 AD or something. So that's a possibility. Do you see any supernatural possibilities happening with these three men? Spirited off somehow.
As much as I like supernatural idea, no.
I was thinking, you're hoping for it, but you can't justify it. I
can't justify it.
Okay. How about the other wacko one? They were abducted by aliens.
Now, I could see people thinking that one, yes.
Why? This is just nonsense.
Why not?
Well, why wouldn't the other one, the supernatural one, make sense then? You're talking kooky here.
There would have to be a portal, and they would have had to travel to one of the other islands to find the portal, and I don't see them traveling to the other island.
How do you know there's no portal on Flannan, the one we're on?
Yeah, there's no portal on that.
Know that.
Sorry, I saw the picture. I didn't see no portal.
What does a portal look like?
It's electric lights that shimmer, but it's only like it's maybe this big.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm
You don't
positive.
see any portal?
No,
You
not on that island.
You would actually see something if you had a portal. You would think you would see it.
You could see the lights.
A light. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Then one of the theories that's a bit quacky, but following that same line, is that the Celts believed in a term called a thin place. And that's like a time slip.
Yeah,
or
that's what
a
I'm
way
talking
to
about.
get into the dimension.
That's what I'm talking
That's
about,
what
the portal.
Exactly.
That's what I'm
Okay.
talking about.
Yeah. And when we talked about the ghosts of Versailles in episode 46, we examined that exact phenomenon of the two women, well-educated, logical, smart women who weren't hysterics, who felt they'd gone to Versailles and felt they'd step back in time and actually saw the quacky queen of the famous ignorant line, "Let them eat cake," Marie Antoinette. And so that was a time slip, and you nailed that right away. You thought about the time slip when we first talked about it. So you're saying no time slip here?
No, because at least one of them would have made it back.
Why is that?
Because not everyone gets to go across, and my impression is James Buchanan was too level-headed to be able to stay in that kind of a time slip.
Oh yeah, really cool. He was a level-headed guy. He was the guy in charge, the older guy. Okay, let's talk about this time slip business. If there had been a time slip, are they in existence all the time?
Absolutely. Even in this lifetime.
Okay, so if there had been a slip on that island, do you have to actually physically walk into it to discover it? Is it like opening a door?
No, because it moves, it shifts. So it could actually touch you and you could see it, but you wouldn't be lost in there. You come back. That's the whole idea, is it's like a moment in time and then you're back.
Oh, okay. So you're not going to the spirit world then?
No. You're going to what I would refer to as the different dimension.
Different dimension. Okay.
But you come back.
And you're saying for James put it back for sure. But can you stay there?
No.
No, you can't.
It would distort our time frame if you did.
Yes, because you're no longer in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That whole time space continuum stuff is very cool, but I find it mind-bendingly weird.
It is mind-bendingly. And trying to talking to a logical person about it, they'll probably think you're totally off the rocks and be phoning the funny farm for you.
Do you think that there's such a thing as a possibility in this thin place idea that you can go into the spirit world instead of a time warp sort of thing?
Okay, it's the other way around. The spirit world has to come to you.
Oh.
Okay. That's how I look at what I do as a medium. The spirits come to me. I don't step into their world, because then I'm losing my own life. So they've got to come to me. So my answer would be no. You can't step into spirit world. You have to be dead to do that.
Okay.
Or died.
Okay.
People can still be at rest, but still haunt if they want to.
Wow. There's a lot of fun things that might happen when you're dead.
Oh, absolutely. I plan on haunting people.
Yes, you had said that to me. Great. I might have to learn how to do that myself. Okay, I'm going to let you look at our last photo, which is a poem written about this by a fellow named Wilson Gibson. So it's number 11, and he calls it Flannel aisle.
Just give me 1 second. Number 11.
Yeah.
There it is.
If you wouldn't mind
So
reading
3
that to us.
men dwell on Flannan Isle to keep the lamp alight. As we steer under the lee, we caught no glimmer through the night. Aye, though we hunted high and low and hunted everywhere, of the 3 men's fate we found no trace of any kind in any place, but a door ajar and an untouched meal and an overtoppled chair. Wilfred
there you go.
Gibson.
Yeah, so that pretty well sums it up.
Yeah. I guess no one taught him prose.
I wouldn't have said he's like a world famous poet from my perspective, but it certainly summarizes our mystery today.
Yes, it does.
So thank you. You did very well. It was interesting at the beginning, though, you didn't recognize that James and Thomas were dead in the story.
Yeah.
You recognized MacArthur was, but those two weren't. So how did that happen that you weren't able to get all 3 of them?
I think because they died by accident and he died by mishap.
What's the difference?
He ran to his death. They ran to save.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
difference.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And not intentionally to die. I think he was trying to get away from something or away. There's some sort, and a place wasn't haunted before that.
It probably is now, as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no doubt it is now.
Okay. And I much prefer, as I've said, your theory of MacArthur having mental issues based on possible poisoning and heading out being crazy, fleeing from something. And just imagine the isolation. I know you're with 2 other guys, and maybe you don't get along with these 2 other guys, but even 3 people all alone for days and days and days on this tiny little island, I think you'd go mad. Just a normal person without even poisoned food might go mad.
Because all you're hearing is the waves, the seagulls, the whistle of the wind, conversation. But what if you didn't feel like talking that day?
I know. And what would you be saying day after day? I just think that the whole job is crazy and rife for problems. So I like your theory much better than the fact that 3 grown, experienced lighthouse keepers got swept away by a single wave. Or a wave, several waves.
Like that.
Yeah. If somebody got swept away, like one of them, the other 2 wouldn't be standing there anymore, would they? They'd be scrambling to get out of the way. Or they certainly wouldn't go down to try and find somebody. I think they would recognize when you get swept away by an Atlantic wave, you're pretty well done. There's nothing they can do about it. I wouldn't think they'd risk their lives. So yeah, I like your theory much better. But the best part of all was within 38 seconds, you said disappeared. No, not murder and mayhem. So you stole my thunder right from the beginning, as usual. Well done.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's part of the gig, man. That's the joy of talking to you. I love it. Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to Seeing Dead People, where goosebumps are guaranteed. We would love to hear from you with questions for Darcy about her psychic process or suggestions for other mystifying situations you would like us to investigate. Please shoot us an email to info@radiosidney.ca with Seeing Dead People in the subject line. New episodes air on our website, radiosidney.ca, on the first Saturday of every month. Episodes repeat Saturday nights at 8 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 10 a.m., both Pacific time. All episodes are available as downloadable podcasts at our website or on our YouTube channel, Nicola Furlong Mysteries. I'm Dorian Mortis, weirdly keen on seeing dead people. This has been a presentation of Radio Sydney.